You won't believe what happened when the kid caught an elf on the shelf moving in real life. Today we present 100 of the craziest elf sightings ever recorded. Like this video and subscribe right now. Let's dive in. Now this kid practically was informing his father that he did not believe in the elf on the shelf's existence, and we can't blame him because these days many people don't believe in magical elves. Anyways, this kid was telling his father that he doesn't believe it and he has no idea what he was talking about. When he returned to his room, an elf on the shelf actually emerged and began flying around. And then the elf on the shelf began to perform various additional actions. Now obviously it's just flying around the house and flying around his room, but something crazier happens at the end of the clip, so stay tuned for that.
What is it? What?
He moved!
Who?
The elf on the shelf!
An elf on the shelf was caught on camera, actually teasing the viewers. The elf in this clip is seen playing hide and seek with the camera. How cute. This clip shows an elf on the shelf that was caught sitting calmly on top of the bed before starting to raise its hand. Maybe it has a question to ask, who knows? In this clip, we can see two elves that were caught sharing a pumpkin. We all know that elves love sweets, but who knew that they also indulge in pumpkins? Now that's news for us. From hiding behind the wall to coming out to play around the house to finally choosing the right spot to hide to avoid cameras, this elf has got a lot of decisions to make. Who knew that elves like to dance? Not just dance, but at such a pace as these elves. If you can try moving your legs as quickly as these cute little elves, and you will see how difficult it is. This clip shows an elf on the shelf jumping up and down the bedroom and getting caught on the camera while doing so, but when it discovers it's being filmed, the elf could only think of a place to hide, and its choice will surprise you, so keep watching. While this is one of the shortest clips on the list, the surprise it packs will give you thrills. Not only did we get to see an elf that decorates, but we also got an elf on the shelf that would go into hiding immediately rather than admire its own work. A YouTuber named Nicholas Bradley uploaded a clip of his elf on the shelf doing what most elves do, avoiding the camera at all costs. Unfortunately for the elf, the camera captured most of his movements, well, until it spotted the camera itself. This clip captured an elf on the shelf who's showing us around the house as if he was a real estate agent. This elf is just restless and is moving all around the place seemingly without a purpose, and even goes to the balcony to sit on a chair, but for a moment until he started moving again. Let's check it out. A family chronicled the presence of the elf on the shelf, who usually comes to them and then goes back to the North Pole at the end of the year, hopefully to report good things about them to Santa. It would be a shame if the elf's report made its own owners end up on the naughty list. If you think elves are not intelligent, then this video will make you reconsider your stance on that, because this particular elf on the shelf displayed elf intelligence by using a grappling hook to climb the table and open the sweet jar from Santa. We must admit, this is one of the most confusing elves on the shelf caught on camera clips that we've ever seen, because we still don't know if the elf in this clip was trying to have what seemed to be a salt bath or if they were trying to hide in it. Enjoy the clip and tell us your opinions in the comments. What seemed to be an innocent clip of grandma unwrapping items turned out to be something straight out of a movie scene. A camera caught an elf trying to walk out of the house before being caught on camera, and well, let's just take a look. Now we have a clip of an elf on the shelf recording a gameplay video of him playing Minecraft. We didn't know that elves also like playing video games, and no one can really be sure if it's true or whether this elf is one of a kind who likes gaming. Anyways, he's the only one who has recorded gameplay video, so let's check it out. This is one of the strangest elves on the shelf's caught on camera clips. Rather than the owners of the elves setting up the camera themselves to catch their elves moving, the elves themselves decided to do the honor by filming themselves moving. The elves recorded this clip in the middle of the night when the owners were sleeping. The security camera of a home captured something bizarre when the owners were not at home. In this clip, the elf on the shelf was caught on camera moving directly in front of the security camera and then started staring at it. What a sight to see. Nighttime is fun for elves on the shelf because they always think that they're alone and won't be caught, and the elf on the shelf in this clip knows how to make use of that time. Unfortunately, there's a hidden camera set up to capture its fun time, so we can say that the elf had failed in some sense, but it also succeeded making the day. This one's really crazy, guys. So this kid thought of pranking his elf on the shelf by pretending to leave the room. Little did the elf on the shelf know that he was under surveillance and his every move was being recorded. Some elves are easier to trick than others, but we should love our elves even if they're not moving. In this clip, an elf on the shelf was caught flying on camera. This clip was recorded by a man who set up a hidden camera to catch his elf on the shelf moving, and after a while, his elf on the shelf flew into the living room and started moving around, but eventually it did something that will surprise you, so keep on watching. This is probably one of the most confusing elf on the shelf caught on camera videos we've seen. While we're still trying to adjust elves on the shelf moving, now we have to see them create extra legs from sneakers to walk and run around the house. Confused? Check out the confusing clip for yourself. Maybe you'll figure it out. We don't know for sure what the elf on the shelf here is doing in this clip, but its movement caught on camera suggests that perhaps there's another elf on the shelf nearby who's about to join his buddy in front of the camera, so let's check it out. What some elves on the shelf get into in the middle of the night remains unclear. While we agree that it's sometimes about flying, cooking, and moving around for some elves, there's some elves on the shelf that just come alive in the middle of the night to do whatever. The elf on the shelf in this clip is a perfect example of that, and we are completely puzzled by its behavior. This guy captured a strange clip of his elf on the shelf teleporting around his house. You can see the elf flying through the air into the frame before landing on the ground, but when its owner points its camera at it, the elf disappears and no one knows where it went next. It's one of the spookiest elf on the shelf clips moving so far, so let's check it out.
Yo, where did it go? It was right here, Mr. Elf.
Have you ever seen spooky elves on the shelf? This one will undoubtedly frighten you because this clip was recorded right after Halloween, and I guess one of the elves decided to visit his family very early before Christmas and have some fun with Halloween props. Okay, you guys might be shocked about what you're about to see, but behold, it's an elf on the shelf. This time, it's just really gonna be fun. Well, this elf on the shelf was just getting caught out of bed going to the bathroom, but he can't seem to be able to lift the toilet seat. And here's the funny part, he decides to wee all over the bathroom sink instead. What a silly elf, right guys? The owner of the clip wants us to share the video before the government sees it and decides to ban it because officially elves on the shelf are just toys and can't come alive. Anyways, it's just another elf on the shelf moving while the family is sleeping, and we can agree that while this is nothing new, a moving elf is always amazing to watch. So let's see how this one goes. The elf on the shelf was caught red-handed carrying herself in the kitchen. In this clip, the elf takes her time walking between the dishes, then turns the faucet on and relaxes for a moment. But then she takes to the air and flies right in the front of the camera, and that's when she probably noticed the camera and did what she did at the end. Here we have another clip showcasing elves eating their Thanksgiving dinner. The elves can be seen with evidence of the food they stole right in their mouth. We can't blame them because they might have known that they might not be invited to Thanksgiving, so they decided to take food for themselves.
Well, look at the mashed potatoes. Meeble started mashing them. She's so sick.
Now we have a clip from Meeble Spirella, who is one of the most well-known elf on the shelf catchers in the world. She has caught many elves moving around her home and causing problems like stealing cookies at night and even messing with her cat. In this clip, she's caught an elf on the shelf trying to break into her bird cage, and it just is insane, so keep on watching to see how it ends.
Stairs and I looked everywhere for my elves and I could not believe what I found. Yep.
Now we have a clip showing a baby elf riding around a tiny toy car when the elf discovers one of her fellow elves locked inside a vault cage. The owner is shocked to see one of her cutest elves being locked and starts looking for the culprit, but none of the elves confess, so maybe it was an evil elf on the shelf locked up in the elf cage. Let's check it out.
How'd she get in and how does she get out? Yeah, she's looking out, but hey, you know what? She's still smiling.
So this dad set up security cameras in his kid's room to capture the elf, and they were checking out the footage, which is just insane, and I can't believe it's real. Do you think this elf on the shelf started moving around the camera, or is this fake? The elf on the shelf doesn't want to be seen moving when people are around, but in this case, it did start moving while on camera. I don't see how you could fake this, but you can see that the elf on the shelf is moving out of the box, jumping out of the box, and roaming all over the room, and it's absolutely spectacular, so let's check it out. We have this elf on the shelf sitting beside his little friend, and in this video, both of them can be seen smiling in front of the camera. Not only that, guys, but they also move their eyes. Alright, it's a little creepy, but that's okay since they meant no harm. You probably know that elves are great beings that are meant to protect little kids. This little child wanted to catch an elf on the shelf, but it takes a weird turn because not even the kid can figure out what the elf was doing. The elf captured in this clip is a really strange fellow, and his behavior is peculiar to say the least. This is definitely not your traditional elf on the shelf caught moving on camera clip, but it's a fun one nonetheless. The elf jumps off the hearth to attack its owner, and after this intense fight, the elf emerges as the winner, leaving its owner lying unconscious on the ground. Luckily, the rest of the family return home in time to help the guy.
Oh, I don't think so. Not today. Oh, what? Where did he go? Oh.
Honey, it's Daddy! Oh no! At least the elf's okay.
According to the rule of elves on the shelf, kids are not allowed to touch them. This rule must have been implemented for the safety of these living elves. Maybe these elves actually go extinct, so it's never a good idea to touch them. This clip was filmed with someone actively present, so we can see the person recording is playing with the elf's hat. This is a really bad idea, but in the end, the person got what he wanted because the elf eventually reacted and blinked. Now we have a clip of a baby elf that was flying with methods that are more traditional instead of using hot air balloons or airplanes. This baby elf was using magic to fly. This elf is also way cuter and even more powerful than the normal elves that we're used to, so the guy that recorded him put a secret camera in his living room to record him throughout the night, and he ended up catching this cute little flying elf around the room back and forth until it reached the table and noticed the secret camera recording him, so the elf got scared and turned it off. This guy wanted to cut his elf on the shelf open to see what was inside of it, and you should never hurt your elves on a shelf like that because they're live creatures, and as you will see, the elf just disappeared from the table and just reappeared on the ceiling, meanwhile shutting off the lights. This is one of the creepiest elf on the shelf sightings ever.
What the heck? Yo, I don't know how he's able to do this, and I don't know why his eyes are glowing red, but I don't like this. Yo, what the? Cause he just disappeared. What the heck? His eyes are there now. Where did he go? Elf, where are you?
For this elf, it's the 10th day it's spending at this family's house, and it was the day when it eventually got spotted moving on video by the dad. Take note of how he successfully captures the elf. First, he places the elf snacks to entice him to enter the room. Nothing appears to be moving at first, but then the elf flies into the room with a marker and greets us with a Merry Christmas. What a lovely elf. And after that, the elf walks away without even touching the elf snacks. It's most likely not as good as the snacks that it gets from Santa at the North Pole. Because they heard noises coming from the cereal box the night before, the family set out to find what this elf was up to and trap him before he can get away. In order to catch the elf, they set up a camera the next day. Because of this, the hunch turned out to be right. He was hanging out and eating some sugar cookie cereal. In any case, let's check out the video and see what happened at the end. This elf played so many pranks on this family, and you're about to be in for an adventure. In the first few seconds of the video, the elf starts things off by sliding down the stairs and onto the fire truck toy. Then it drives to the family's room, and then the lights begin to rapidly turn off and on. But that's not the craziest part. The elf goes on to climb up the tree in the fireplace and, well, unhooks the family socks. This elf is just so mischievous, but because of that, we have this great clip to show you, so make sure to stick around to the end. In this clip, we see an elf literally teleport into the kitchen, which is an interesting choice for elves to make. The elf then begins to do what elves do best, move around and float around while pretending no one was watching. However, when it realized that someone might be watching, it floated directly up into the camera's lens and proceeded to destroy it because elves hate being captured moving on camera. This clip shows an entire elf family stuck inside a lantern. You can see a grown-up elf with several of its babies, which are wearing many different colors. We don't know how all of them ended up being stuck there, but luckily one of the elves started talking and tells us an entire story, so let's keep watching until the end.
It's kind of hard to explain, but Dart saw this glowing magical light, and he thought we would like to hang out inside of it, but then he put us all inside, and then he closed it and locked it with a big lock, and now we're all trapped inside here, and I was hoping maybe, just maybe, you could use your magic gloves and help save us.
In December 2013, an office was explored by an elf on the shelf, and it was caught wandering around with 4 surveillance cameras. The team was able to observe every inch of the movement of the elf, which roamed all around the office, checking out the Christmas lights and other decorations. Finally, camera 4 captured the elf moving into another room and coming back holding a piece of paper, which is a scan of itself. The elf probably thought that's how humans take selfies. This woman started hearing bell noises coming out of her fridge, meaning that some of her elves were caught inside of it. When she opened the fridge door, she found one of the elves wearing green clothes hanging upside down, and another elf with more usual red attire being stuck inside a water bottle. The elf wrote a note asking for help. Finally, the green elf speaks and explains how this entire situation came to be, so let's check it out.
The water bottle, but how'd she get in there? What? Zart? How in the world did Meebles get inside that water bottle?
Well, I was hanging upside down, and I thought she might want to go in there because it'd be, toasty and cold, kind of like the North Pole. And
So this YouTuber was flying his drone around the playground near his house looking to capture some beautiful winter footage, but he got shocked by an elf on the shelf who appeared in frame. Apparently, the elf jumped to the ground and latched onto the drone. You can see his little elf legs wiggling around, but eventually we can see the entire face of this elf. This is an amazing clip showing that elves on the shelf can be captured moving not just inside the house, but also outside, so let's check it out.
Can ever say they saw this, that's for sure. This is crazy. Oh my, okay, that's it. You know what? If he doesn't want to get off the drone, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna fly it so fast, he'll have no choice but to fall off. Come on, keep going, keep going. Look, he's shaking. He's shaking off. This might be working, actually.
The final clip shows an elf who's obviously in a party mood. In the days leading up to Christmas, the smart little guy eventually figured out how to use a laptop and goes to YouTube to listen to some music, and he apparently knew exactly what he was in the mood for before starting his little party, as he starts playing his favorite song and showing off his sick dance moves. Partying with elves would be super fun, and it's a pity that they aren't allowed to move in front of people. These girls and I is aware that something is going on late at night and that their elf was up to something, so he installed a concealed camera to catch this mischievous elf. Let's take a look at what he's got. Alright, so it enters the room, disappears behind the table, and starts flying across the room. This elf is definitely using elf magic, but following this performance, he goes to the bedroom where the man is sleeping, and well, let's just take a look at what the elf ends up doing. When this girl was sleeping one night, she woke up to strange noises coming from the living room, so she rushed downstairs to see what was going on, only to find herself in the middle of hundreds of elves. It's literally insane, and her elf on the shelf was also present in the middle of the gathering, so maybe it invited its friends over for a party or something like that. I'm really curious about what they were really talking about. Maybe they were just having fun, or there's some chance that they were planning something bad. Well, it's up to you guys to decide, so make sure to keep on watching until the end.
Oh my gosh. It is lots of Elf on the Shelf, and I mean lots of them.
This clip is from a family YouTube channel which captured a unique elf. It's unlike all other moving elves on the shelf because this one is just a giant elf. It must be the size of an adult person, and who knew that elves can grow that tall? Unfortunately, this elf was really angry that it was that tall, and it's just making a mess all around the house, like throwing furniture around. Maybe this elf got fired by Santa and became angry because now he doesn't have a job.
Sounds like it's getting a pan.
Yeah?
What is it?
He almost looks familiar.
Oh no, what's he gonna do with that? Nothing.
Nothing, alright?
Oh, he's gonna mess with the chairs.
Gigo, he's just like you. He is a naughty little elf. He looks
Did you tell someone to go into the house and break into our house? What did you just do?
You turn on the sink.
You turn on the water. Are you serious?
The water?
Now we have a clip recorded by a YouTuber who wanted to capture his elf on the shelf moving. As you can see, the elf on the shelf is sitting right in front of the camera, so you might think that the elf isn't going to move because elves usually don't move when they know that they're being recorded. But the elf eventually starts moving and even leaps straight into the camera. Let's check it out.
Unlike any other, like compared to
scared to try.
So imagine if they lived like 10, 20 years, or like a lot of marine life lives a lot longer. Imagine they lived like 90 years like turtles. They would have taken over long ago, dude. Would have been over.
Is this a fact?
No. But, you know, they, in the span.
Wait, dude, look.
I saw that.
Bro, it moved.
Okay, you won't be able to convince me any longer that these elves didn't develop a taste for cereal at this point, due to the fact that this family has heard noises coming from cereal boxes the night before. The family was determined to find out what the elf was up to and trapped him before it could get away, so the next day they decided to set up a camera in order to catch their elf in the act. The hunch was correct, and he was actually hanging around and snacking on some sugar cookie cereal. But more than that, he appears to be in a state of limbo, and that's just what you get for being a glutton. Anyways, let's have a look at this clip and see what happens at the end. So basically, this mom was having some suspicions about her elf because it would be placed at one spot and the next morning it would be found at another place around the home. If you want to catch your own elf, make sure to listen closely on what I'm about to say because this mom shows the best tricks and tips for catching an elf. At first, she shows us that the elf is sitting silently on the Christmas tree and then proceeds to show us what seems to be the elf's door at the North Pole, which teleports it back to Santa Claus. That's the spot where you have to put your camera at because the elf will probably be trying to go back to Santa. So the next morning, she sets up 2 cameras in the living room and the kitchen, and as expected, the elf goes down the tree, and you guessed it, to the little door.